In celebration of this historic campaign of women candidates, Socorro Federation of Democratic Women presents this forum. So let's get right to the questions. I'm Cindy Madrid. I am the president of the Socorro County Federation of Democratic Women. And we're putting on this forum today. I'm going to start by asking Heather Benavides the first question. How does your academic and professional background make you qualified to be New Mexico State Treasurer?
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you to the rest of the Federation and for everybody who has appeared this evening to watch this forum. We really appreciate your time and attention. And before I get started, I have to give a shout out to my husband. It is our anniversary today. And so instead of going to dinner and celebrating, we are doing this. And so thank you so much, Joshua, for always being supportive, and happy anniversary. Okay, so to answer the question, how does my academic and professional background make me qualified to serve as your next state treasurer? Well, the New Mexico Constitution requires that the state treasurer be a citizen of the United States, be at least 30 years of age, and have resided continuously in New Mexico for the 5 years preceding the election. I meet all of these requirements. In terms of academics, I graduated from Berlin High School in '96, achieved a BA in political science and Spanish from UNM, cum laude, and a Master of Public Administration from UNM School of Public Administration with a public management enhancement, focusing on public governance, policymaking, strategic planning and management, and most relevant, public budgeting and financial management. My professional background includes 18 years of proud public service, beginning in the New Mexico judiciary, wherein I held several roles, culminating in creating a pilot project called the Foreclosure Settlement Facilitation Project, aimed at keeping residents of Sandoval, Valencia, and Cibola in their homes. The project was very successful, and it's become a permanent part of the 13th Judicial District services. It's also been replicated in the 2nd Judicial District. I have been a judge and presided over 2 courts, Rio Communities Municipal and Valencia County Magistrate Court. I've worked in the State Treasurer's Office since 2017, and I'm the Chief of Staff. I work alongside 29 employees, including Treasurer Eichenberg, whose endorsement I have in this race. I'm very proud. And we work hard every day to invest and protect $8 billion of your dollars while providing investment services to governmental agencies, providing financial literacy programs to high schools across the state, providing savings and investment accounts to individuals living with disabilities, ABLE New Mexico, and creating a retirement program to employees of small businesses, New Mexico Work and Save. Now, the treasurer must have the experience and integrity to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money. I have been vetted by both the treasurer's office and the governor's office with criminal and credit background checks. And as a former judge, I am ready and capable of again holding this position of trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Laura Montoya, how does your academic and professional background make you qualified to be New Mexico State Treasurer?
Well, hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with all of you. Happy early Thanksgiving. So as far as education and experience, before I go there, I want to talk a little bit about where I'm from. So I was born, raised, and educated in northern New Mexico. My bachelor's is in political science and psychology with a minor in sociology. And I have a degree, also a master's in public affairs, all from New Mexico Highlands University. And I also studied international relations and Spanish at the University of Costa Rica, where I was a Rotary Ambassadorial Scholar. I studied and at the same time worked on an internship. My first senator that I worked with was Senator Pete Campos from Las Vegas. And that's when I fell in love with policy work. So I have been working with the New Mexico legislature, either directly or indirectly, since 1999. Policy work, legislation, and finances are the 3 items that I'm very passionate about, because I know that with those 3 items, I can help serve my community. And so I've done that in several different capacities. I've worked in government for over 23 years, federal, state, and local. When we talk about finances, at the legislative section, there's capital outlay, which I worked on with Senator Pete Campos. He's a high-ranking person in the Senate Finance Committee. I've worked on House Bill 2, I've also worked with the New Mexico Tax Policy Committee. I was a member while I was the Sandoval County Treasurer for the past 8 years. I just termed out in December. In that capacity, we were able to get a lot of things done, including me being appointed as legislative chair for the Treasurers Affiliate, where we got 21 bills passed. Some of them dealt with permissible investments and the extension of that. Other ones helped with more transparency in the office. We also were able to assist with federal policy. I was vice chair of finance, pension, and intergovernmental affairs for the National Association of Counties. Long word, but basically there's 4 vice chairs, there's 150 members, and it's all people that have worked as elected officials in the county level. And you work with national issues that deal with county policies. And I did that for 7 years, appointed by both Republican and Democrat presidents of NACO, the National Association. I worked in the state treasurer's office. I was the administrative assistant for Doug Minge Brown. And during that time, it was an FBI investigation. So I was the point of contact for his office. And I helped with the transition between Doug Brown and Treasurer James B. Lewis. And then I went back to the New Mexico legislature and worked there. I am very honored to receive the endorsement of Treasurer Brown. He's been a mentor of mine for many years now and helps me a lot on any issues that I've had working at the county with finances and some of the work that we've had to do. As far as other experience, working as the Sandoval County Treasurer, I protect, collect, invest, distribute, and report funds. And I plan on doing the same thing for the State Treasurer's Office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ladies. I would like to introduce Carol Courtney Cricket. She is our Socorro Federation of Democratic Women Treasurer. And Cricket, do you have the question ready?
I do. I believe we're going to go to Laura first, and this is
Yes.
a 2-part question. As state treasurer, how will you ensure that state funds are invested in an ethical manner that contributes to the well-being of New Mexico? And the second question is, what is your vision?
That's an awesome question, Cricket. So the short end of that answer is best audit practices, following the government accounting standards, following state statute, following the state constitution, reviewing the 24-hour deposit rule, which state and local governments, municipalities are all required to deposit within 24 hours, writing cash handling policies and procedures, both externally and internally, having all employees throughout the state manage funds in any type of way, cash handling or investments or any other sorts. Being able to review those policies every single year right before your new audit is very helpful. So these are all the procedures that I implemented when I was county treasurer. When I went in, we didn't have cash handling procedures. In fact, at that time, the finance department and the treasurer's office were more than $2.4 million off. They were not able to reconcile. And so within about 9 months, I couldn't get financing from the county commission. And so I took a letter up to the county manager and I said, this is the letter I'm sending to the attorney general and to the state auditor tomorrow if you don't commit to helping us get some funding to reconcile this discrepancy between the two. And he finally was willing to do so. And in doing so, it wasn't unethical items, but it's stuff that needed to get done from a transition from Triadic, it's a software system, to the current system, which is Tyler. You know, in Sandoval County, our budget for every biweekly paycheck that the county sends out is about $500,000. So it could easily be a discrepancy that can impact your finances. And so in doing so, we realized that there's a lot better audit practices that we needed to do. So we have internal cash handling procedures for the people that take our cash for property taxes. And then we also had them for anyone else in the county that had any type of dealings with cash. Within 4 years, we were able to finally get a clean audit. For any of you that have worked in an audit, if you got an audit finding the year prior, you'll still get hit with it the following year, depending on the month that it occurred. And so I was very proud that after those 4 years, we got 4 clean audits. The last 4 years that I was there for, and the last year, it was a clean audit for the entire county. That's very important because they're taxpayer dollars. Transparency is critical. We had all of our finances filed with the county clerk's office with the treasurer's report, and then I put it on the website so everyone had an opportunity to see where their cash funds were being utilized. The checks and balances between the county commission acting as the board of finance and the treasurer's office is critical. They spend the money and we make sure and protect, collect, invest, and distribute it. And we did that very well. We provided outreach extension services so that people in our rural communities can also have the same type of connectivity with the county as the people in the city. Confirming who's on the bank account, signature authority is important, making sure that the current contracts are in compliance. There is a request for proposal done for banking for, or RFPs is a request for proposal. So if I say that, that's what I mean. We have several of them that need to get done. Point of sale, items for your investment advisors, brokers, dealers, all of those need to be in compliance. So you need to check those first and then make sure that when you go up to bid again, that you're able to make sure you have all the services that you need. Look at the unintended consequences. For example, 4 years ago, an RFP wouldn't have a lot of the needs and services that we need now during a pandemic. Making sure that you're fair in your requests and having everybody have access to them so that they can all bid, so you can get the best price for the county and for the protection of taxpayer dollars. I think that's my time, so I'll stop there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Heather, as state treasurer, how will you ensure that state funds are invested in an ethical manner that contributes to the well-being of New Mexico? And second, what is your vision?
Thank you so much for that question, Cricket. I hope I can call you that. I know that's your nickname and we've just met, but as your state treasurer, I will ensure that state funds in the following pools: the general fund investment pool, bond proceeds investment pool, local government investment pool, severance tax bonding fund, and the repurchase pool are invested ethically by strictly following Stowe's investment policy. Stowe is State Treasurer's Office. We have an investment policy containing each portfolio's objectives and restraints and in conformance with all federal, state, and legal requirements. Now, internally, our chief investment officer and portfolio manager report to the deputy treasurer, and they must adhere to specific standards of conduct. These include, but this list is not exhaustive, Governmental Conduct Act, Stowe's Employees Code of Conduct, the Whistleblowers Policy, and the Procurement Code. And our internal controls consist of keeping the deputy treasurer apprised of daily investment activities, monitoring compliance with state investment statutes, maintaining the separation of investing authority from cash activities and record keeping, and the continued use of objective criteria when choosing broker-dealers and financial institutions who provide investment services. All this in keeping with the main priorities of our office, which are safety, liquidity, and yield. Now, in terms of contributing to the well-being of New Mexico, I feel that we must invest in our future by investing in our people, which is why under my leadership, we'll incentivize contributions to ABLE accounts by making certain portions tax deductible. We'll enhance the financial literacy of our youth by making a requirement for graduation. We'll implement New Mexico Work and Save to make retirement savings a reality for employees of small businesses. And we'll provide child development savings accounts to babies born in the state, with the funds accessible upon graduation of a New Mexico high school or the achievement of a GED to be used for college, vocational school, or seed money for a business with an approved plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll go on to introduce our treasurer, actually our secretary, Mercury Kincaid, and Mercury Kincaid is going to pose the third question. Are you there, Mercury?
And
There she
keeping with the alternating, yeah, should be Heather next, I do believe. And the
Yes.
question is, what is your perspective on the Public Banking Act that was proposed in HB 236/SB 313 during the last legislative session? And what financial solutions do you propose for our newly emerging cannabis industry in its absence, since it did not pass?
Thank you for that question, Mercury. And I know that that is the question that I get everywhere in New Mexico along the campaign trail. It's really, really interesting. People are really, really interested in the public bank. But my perspective on the public bank is that it's a great idea for state funds to be deposited in a locally state-owned bank, hopefully to be used for infrastructure loans and partnering with existing banks and credit unions to originate loans that enhance local economic growth and opportunities. However, we need more research. And I want to first thank the Alliance for Local Economic Prosperity for all the good work they've done. If you haven't checked out their website, please do. It's fantastic. Now, concerns that I've identified for a public bank are the following. The suggestion of using the state bank as the fiscal agent bank. Now, Stowe and 130 other state agencies have very complex banking needs, and large agencies like TRD, DFA, and HSD utilize a variety of deposit, disbursement, and card services, as well as the necessary security and flexibility that would be difficult for a brand new bank to replicate. It would take time for them to develop those. Second is Fdic Insurance. The Bank of North Dakota, the one state with a public bank, the other public bank is America Samoa, is not Fdic insured. New Mexico statutes require that any bank that is approved to accept public funds be Fdic insured, and amounts above the Fdic limit be collateralized. Third, we risk alienating the community bankers that have been serving New Mexico for years, possibly hurting their institutions, including the possible elimination of thousands of jobs held by New Mexicans. We obviously do not want to do that. But what I can say is that we can work together to address these and other concerns to possibly move forward with the public bank. That's something that I am in favor of having conversations about. Now, where the cannabis industry is, it poses new challenges. Fdic insurance is always going to be an issue. However, there are two banks that accept deposits from the cannabis industry currently in New Mexico. I don't know if you know those. They are Southwest Capital Bank in Las Vegas and the U.S. Eagle Federal Credit Union. They're state chartered banks. And you know that's possibly an option moving forward, but I understand the public bank and the cannabis industry kind of go hand in hand. And so we'll see what happens in the future. But for more information, if you'd like to do more research, I highly recommend you check out the Cole referendum. Thank you.
What was that referendum that we're checking out? Heather?
I'm sorry, Cole memorandum.
Cole memorandum.
Memorandum, yes.
Could you spell that?
Or COLE. And then MEMORANDUM. You want me to put it in the chat?
Yes, yes. And now we can have Laura go.
Okay. Before I get into the state bank, I do want to mention part of my vision that I think of when I look at the state treasurer's office is working with the investment team on potential investment tools that can assist us, not only with safety and liquidity and yield, which is the three criteria in state statute, but also investing more within our communities and in our items that our community valued. So for example, green energy. When I was Sandoval County Treasurer and Legislative Chair, we were able to change 6-10-10, which is basically the statute that allows all the permissible investments that you can invest in, and that includes the state treasurers. And we added in supranationals, which really allowed the treasurer's office during a pandemic to invest and diversify the portfolio so that there wasn't as much risk. When you're talking about the state bank, for those of you that aren't that familiar, this is a hot topic. So just to give you a little bit of background, the purpose of the proposed public bank of New Mexico is to provide a focused, agile, and effective way to leverage some of the state's general fund bank deposits toward investing within New Mexico. And the way that they want to invest is to enhance the vitality and viability of New Mexico's communities and economic sectors through loan programs for locally owned banks and credit unions, and advancing the state public and private economic and community well-being by investing to increase its human and social capital, help finances and infrastructure, and regenerate its natural assets. There's a big group of people that are passionate about not only in investing in New Mexico, but investing in New Mexico's people. And so that's where this all came from, is the idea of breaking down the inequities of the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots, and allowing for there to be a different avenue to, instead of people having to get payday lender loans, they would be able to have more access to different types of loans through other banks. Now, there's some confusion. Some people think you would go into this bank and you'd be able to get a loan. That is not the way that the state bank would work. The money that they're trying to propose, which is very different. I will say this, the bill that you saw or that you read from the last legislative session is very, very different from where they're at today. They wanted before 50 million in severance tax, as well as 50 million from general fund. That's no longer an option. Now it's going to be 50 million from general funds resources and 60 million from a deposit from the Wall Street Bank. There's some other things that were problems with that bill that they have been able to fix, and they're still working with other legislators to try to fix it even more so than it was before. So the idea that you can have a bank that can assist with some collateralization for small local banks is a concept that isn't well developed yet. But I think that it should have the attention of all of our legislators and our state treasurer, because we need to figure out a way to grow New Mexico's wealth and invest in ourselves and in our people, and also allow for the disparity to be removed, which also takes me to the financial literacy aspect that I'm very passionate about, as well as the removal of payday lenders, which are the two things that I'm really focused on as well in this race.
Thank you very much. So I would like to acknowledge Dami Jentz is here today. She is our previous president, and she's precious to us all. This is the end of the answering the questions, and we will move on the closing remarks. We may be running out of time. So could we keep those closing remarks brief? Go ahead. Let's see, who's first? I believe that Laura is first.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for putting this together and for having a discussion about this. This is very important. It'll be the first time that we have a female state treasurer. It is important that in that capacity, that it is somebody who is competent, capable, has the experience, and is able to do the job. And I can tell you that I have the skill set to do that. The second part that I think is sometimes forgotten is that it is an election. And in doing so, it's not just the state treasurer's office that needs to get elected, both in the primary and in the general. We have a very important at-stake race in the governor's office as well. We have people that are so disengaged with wanting to get involved in our elections. And coming from a family that has always been very strong advocates of the Democratic Party, I ran my first campaign when I was 18 years old. I ran several campaigns since for other candidates, and I know the work that it takes, especially in the statewide race. Today, I just came back from Clovis and Portales. I work nonstop, not only on services for my community on the public sector side, but also in the idea of service for people. So if you have any questions about what you've heard today, or you want to learn more information, please call me. I'll put my number in the chat. My website is lauramontoya4nm.com. I would ask you all for your consideration, for your support, and for your vote, and to really get involved in this race. We can create an opportunity for making history. That is our story. So thank you very much for your time, and have a good evening.
Okay, Heather, your turn.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, everybody who put this on this evening. I'm running to be your next state treasurer because I truly believe that investing in New Mexico's future begins with investing in our people. And that's each of you on this call tonight and every single person I speak to during this campaign. I have the experience and the integrity to be a good steward of your tax dollars. Over the last 18 years, I've served as municipal and magistrate judge, and I currently serve as the chief of staff in the treasurer's office. I oversee the critical daily functions of the office. My tenure at Stowe includes developing and managing the ABLE program, lobbying for financial education programs for underserved communities, and working with the appropriate agencies to coordinate the forfeiture program to ensure auction proceeds are deposited in the general fund. Outside my official work, I volunteer in a number of task forces and councils, the DWI Planning Council, Juvenile Justice Board, Domestic Violence Sexual Assault Task Force, that use the power of community to address critical issues. I am also the chair of the 100% Community Housing Task Force, and I'm passionate about helping individuals find temporary and permanent shelter. I am the chair of the Rules Committee for the State Democratic Party and also a proud Rotarian. My education, experience, and love for community and New Mexicans make me the best person to serve you as your next state treasurer. Thank you, and I hope to earn your vote.
Thank you, Laura, Heather, and thank you, candidates. This concludes our forum of the candidates for New Mexico State Treasurer. And it was a pretty good